But in my work, the people change. Money changes people, not me. I'm still a hustler from these streets.
Playboy X, real name Trey Stewart. He's probably the first person Nico meets who actually has some real power. Someone connected beyond the immigrant neighborhoods of Broker or the mostly Hispanic parts of Bohan. For once, Nico's around someone tied to real money and influence, the kind that might actually help him find the people he's looking for somewhere in the middle of Liberty City. It might sound like a stretch, but it makes sense when you think about where Nico is at in the point that he comes to meet Playboy. Just trying to get by, caught up in Elizabeth Torres' world. She herself served as the introduction, introducing the pair on a heroin deal. And because Nico, seeing her as someone that was feared and respected, when Playboy set the record straight, telling Nico that Elizabeth doesn't get him to do anything, but he's rather here because he likes to be kept in the loop, keep his ear to the streets no matter how big or how small a deal is. He wants to actively know what's going on. And he makes it clear he's got work, real work, big plans on the horizon in the sense that Nico could be the one to help bring those plans to life. Maybe even find what he's been searching for in the process while getting paid. The connection through Elizabeth gives Playboy some credibility, but it's the fact that he runs his own operation, separate from hers and possibly even bigger, that draws Nico in. As we spend more time with him, we hear about his rise from a low-level street dealer to someone chasing a broader, more modern vision that goes beyond just drugs and street business. He wants to go legitimate, get into music, construction, build something that lasts. The problem? His origins. His mentor, and the looming possibility of that mentor one day coming home from prison. All of it stands to clash with Playboy's new, modern vision. The way he makes money, the way he tries to rewrite his own history. It's all set on a collision course with where he came from, and the loyalty he claims defines him.
I started small like you, player. Slinging rocks on the corner, sticking cats up, all type of shit. Them was the old days.
Keeping with the theme of people's criminal history in these videos, we'll be exploring Trey's, but first, let's talk about who he was before catching his first charge. Because he wasn't always the cold hustler or businessman he now claims to be. He was actually a book-smart kid, naive to the dangerous world he'd eventually step into. Trey grew up in the North Holland district of Liberty City. It's a low-income area where gangs were everywhere, crime ran high, and drugs were often the main source of income for anyone who looked even slightly successful. Or at least that might have been how Trey came to see it, because North Holland itself is actually much bigger than people realize. It's an 8-block stretch that includes some of the city's roughest spots, like the Westminster Towers, but it also includes businesses, hospitals, hotels, and even access to the landmark that is Middle Park. So like most places in the city, it's not all bad. It depends on the time of day, how you carry yourself, and who you know. If Trey really was this book-smart, straightforward kid, Dwayne later described him as, he likely lived just outside the fast life's immediate reach, providing him just enough distance that kept him safe, but close enough that it gave him just enough exposure to be drawn in. Eventually, curiosity would turn to fascination, and fascination would pull him closer and closer than even he probably realized. By which time he would have been right in the mix, completely unaware of just how cutthroat this world really was. And so it's not hard to imagine Trey becoming just another statistic, another name the city would go on to forget, if not for one encounter with Dwayne. Like Trey, Dwayne grew up in the North Holland district, but there was one huge difference. Dwayne grew up in the Westminster Towers, the heart of the district's chaos, where gang retaliation and drug-filled violence were part of daily life. Dwayne was also older, already well established, and by some twist of timing, becoming paranoid and disillusioned with the cocaine empire he had built for himself. He was making what he claimed around 50 grand a week. Rivals in the drug trade were constantly looking for ways to undermine him since they couldn't compete with the purity of his product. It was so successful that Dwayne ended up filling entire apartments with cash just to stash it all away. But that kind of success breeds jealousy, and eventually that envy within his own circle would lead to his own downfall and arrest. For whatever reason though, this kingpin had a soft spot for Trey. Maybe he saw something in him. A good-hearted kid who didn't deserve to fall victim to the streets like so many others. Dwayne would take Trey under his wing and started treating him like the son he never had, going on to teach him everything that he knew. How to break into houses, rob people at gunpoint, and eventually, how to deal. Now looking at Trey's record, he was going by the name Playboy X under Dwayne's guidance. He's only ever been arrested once, and that arrest lines up with Dwayne's final one before he was sent off to prison. Both went down in 1999. Dwayne got hit with the possession of controlled substance with intent to sell charge, while Playboy's charge was possession of a controlled substance, crack cocaine. It's clear Playboy was active in Dwayne's operation, following his lead, doing what his mentor told him, but what's interesting is that this is the only charge on his record. Other than that, it's clean and is still intimately tied to everything Dwayne was doing. Which, if you just take it at face value, it looks like Playboy was never his own man, that he took advantage of Dwayne and his operation and just seized control of his distribution network and claimed that it was his empire and that he was taking it different places. But that ignores a crucial element to all of this. Dwayne was well known, he was feared, he was respected, and a friend of his betrayed him. Javon Simpson. He only has one appearance in Grand Theft Auto 4, but he's important in the story of Dwayne, because Simpson was a member of the North Holland Hustlers, Dwayne's organization and a close friend of his. Simpson was wanted by the police and he ended up getting arrested, but to avoid jail time, he became a police informant and snitched on Dwayne. This 1999 arrest had been a long time coming, backed by a mountain of evidence against the Kingpin, with him, of course, being the main target. Playboy would be caught up in it, but his situation was very different. Because of his clean record and his age, as he was only 16 in 1999, he got off with a much lighter sentence. If anything, there's a good chance he was charged in juvenile court and possibly due to a lack of evidence, received a smaller sentence. Unlike Dwayne, who was hit with intent to sell, Playboy's charge was just a simple possession, which could mean a few things. Maybe Playboy cooperated with the police, maybe he was small time enough that they just didn't see the point in piling on charges and just gave him a slap on the wrist, or maybe they simply did not care. Dwayne was the head of the operation, the one they wanted to make an example of, and Playboy didn't have that kind of presence yet, nor the ruthlessness Dwayne did. It also raises questions about how current those police notes really are, because even if Playboy wasn't charged with more, it's likely they kept a close eye on him, and on Dwayne, long after that arrest. Well, they did, since it's noted that in 2004, Playboy stopped visiting Dwayne in prison. So they weren't specifically keeping an eye on Playboy and what he was doing. More so, their notes appear to be focused on Dwayne himself and on the ties his former associates still had with him to see if the operations were continuing to run under Dwayne's discretion, which appears to be the case. Following their arrest, Playboy would return to the streets, wasting no time seizing control of what remained of Dwayne's empire, and for that short while that he appeared to stay in contact with his incarcerated mentor, it's possible he continued to soak up as much information and knowledge as he could. Given that he was still just a young kid completely in over his head, this would have been the best opportunity for him to take advantage of that valuable, highly trusted connection with Dwayne, even playing into the fact that after the arrest, Playboy was really the only person Dwayne trusted besides his girlfriend. And for a 16-year-old kid, someone who knew nothing, had nothing, and suddenly found himself at the top of a well-connected cocaine empire, that's a scary thing. But at the same time, it's an exciting change, going from the protege to the one in charge.
I got into this dope game because it was the only thing that was open to me, man. The only thing, man. Dwayne, it's like he thinks it's 1992 and the best that you could hope for is a gold chain and a page.
By Playboy's own words, he was always a hustler, grinding, someone who made his way from the bottom to the top. That's true to a point, but it's not the full story. The police records make it clear Dwayne was always the main concern, the real focus, and that priority most likely expanded into the streets. To me, that suggests that even if Playboy learned how to burglarize, rob, and sell, he never really had the heart or mentality of someone who had to live that life just to survive. He had ambition and he had a vision, but he wasn't pushed into it by desperation in the same way Dwayne was. He was pitied, looked after, and probably taught how to carry himself under the protection of someone who was already well connected. So with Dwayne gone, Playboy took the throne, but it wasn't really his to claim. It was one handed to him. And when you've got someone who's learned to see themselves in a certain light, living a life that keeps reinforcing and validating that image, it's hard to make them believe anything else. It's a lot like how Nico meets Playboy through Elizabeta. It gives them that instant credibility and power right off the bat. Others see Playboy step in and take control of what Dwayne built, knowing he was the protege, but not much else. Maybe just that he beat a serious drug-related arrest, and that alone makes him look legit and lets him steer the business in a new direction, with little worry about serious rivals stepping up. The issue here is it leads to delusion, misunderstanding, and this urge to rewrite history. Because there's a major part of Dwayne that Playboy just doesn't have, aside from the violence. And it's something we can pick up right away, even if Playboy's doing everything he can to shape Nico's view of it. A sense of loyalty.
Do I look like I live low budget, dog?
Yo, player,
Fuck you want?
there's someone here for you. Dwayne or some shit, I don't know.
motherfucker got out? Damn. My dude!
What's up, son? What's going down?
You didn't tell me you was getting out? Man, I would've laid on a party, got some freaks out. Shit.
I called. Couple of times.
Man, hey, Dwayne, this is Nico.
Hey.
Nico Dwayne Forge. Taught me everything I know.
Psst, not everything.
This moment when Dwayne unexpectedly shows up at Playboy's apartment for the first time, in hindsight, paints the picture perfectly. Dwayne comments about calling multiple times before this so-called unexpected drop-in. Instead, Playboy doesn't address it head-on and tries to smooth things over, telling Nico that Dwayne taught him everything that he knows. Yet Dwayne's sarcastic backfire of not everything hints at something that isn't just resentment of a close friend abandoning you and pretending otherwise. It's a character flaw that clashes hardest with the notion of being this ambitious person that lived by the street code. The street life is all about loyalty or greed, and Playboy always does everything to make it sound as if people around him has changed and not him. Even when he attempts to hire Nico to kill Dwayne, he presents Dwayne as someone that's lost himself, bitter, angry, living in the past, and looking to off Playboy, and simply because, from his perspective, him and Nico are far too close, that puts Nico in his crosshairs as well. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Hypocrisy is part of Playboy's character from the very moment he rises to the top of his former mentor's distribution network, and it sticks around through Nico's entire time working with him. During our first mission with him, he's already lamenting Dwayne getting out. He says it's a very different world now. Dwayne's stuck in the past, just gonna go back to slinging crack cocaine. Playboy, on the other hand, wants to expand meth, weed, X, coke, drug dealing, as he says, is just one part of his business, and he doesn't see it as actual drug dealing. It's no different than selling a commodity on any other floor. Besides, it's just the engine that drives him towards legitimacy. Like he says, building skyscrapers, earning enough for big gold letters on them one day, and then funding schools or initiatives to help kids escape the same hard life he came from. Funny how he only talks about sponsoring kids, doing right, or justifying his actions when Dwayne enters the picture. The conversation right before killing him carries that exact same tone, always separating himself from Dwayne.
And I change stuff. You know me. I do this stuff so I got a chance to do some good in this town.
So you say.
So I say. So I do. When I get the money, man, I will build parks. I will sponsor kids. I will save lives. But I gotta have the money, man. Is all this, it means nothing if you ain't got the heart, Nico.
Amen, brother.
Man, the point is, man, history is a long time. And you only got one chance. And Dwayne, man, Dwayne, it's like he thinks it's 1992, and the best that you could hope for is a gold chain and a pager.
First, it's the drug dealing when Dwayne's name originally comes up. Then it's rewriting their history altogether. He positions it like he's actually out here doing good. He just needs a little bit of money first, earned through those pure good-hearted intentions, no matter what goes down along the way. I mean, even Jesus did some wild stuff, right? According to Playboy, he took out John the Baptist, but it was all for the greater good, whatever it took. The whole build-up to killing Dwayne is actually deeper than it seems at first, so we'll break that down in just a second. For now, I wanted to point out this pattern with Playboy, always presenting himself a particular way. He pays respect to Dwayne, calls him his boy, while explaining he's currently serving a prison sentence, giving him that proper homage. Yet behind it all, he has kept his distance. He hasn't contacted him in years, and when he is finally out, he does his best to lie directly to his face and continue to keep that distance, both physically and in a business sense. And that could be due to a mix of shame and straight up fear for betraying the man who taught him everything. He knows the kind of person Dwayne is, a killer like he even admits he is. But Dwayne is also the reminder of the past that Playboy is coming from. With Dwayne out of the way, the image of Playboy coming from absolutely nothing to something all on his own becomes unchallenged, and has no real fear of people learning he abandoned someone and took what they had, claiming it was his own. And so it becomes this giant attempt to just save face. He paints it like he's the loyal close friend who just can't reason with the guy who's gone mad from years inside, stuck raging about the past and unable to move on from everything that he lost, or even more importantly, having Playboy bend a knee to him.
Now I hear things. Said you and me was too tight now. Said you disrespected. Cold and mad. He's going crazy. I mean, he's gone. Prison does that.
Playboy dodges Dwayne when he's home. According to Dwayne, Playboy straight up refuses to hang out with him, sending Nico on his behalf instead. Then Playboy builds this narrative. Dwayne's getting on his nerves, pushing him, and when it's finally time to commit to killing him, he can't do it himself. Since I already laid out Playboy's setup for asking Nico to take Dwayne out, here's his line about Jesus.
I mean, fuck, man. Fuck! The thing is, you know, Jesus, he did some crazy shit too. I mean, everyone does. He killed people. He killed that John the Baptist cat. He did what he had to.
I don't think you're correct about that.
Keep in mind, this comes after he sets himself up as someone preparing to do real good, once he's got the money to make things happen. After this, he follows up with Dwayne still living in 1992, thinking the best thing you can hope for is a gold chain and a pager. Given Playboy's backstory as a book-smart kid, potentially even religious, judging by this reference, it's funny, but it's very clever too. It outs him as too weak to do his own dirty work. As a quick crash course, John the Baptist was Jesus' cousin, who baptized him and biblically served as a prophetic forerunner who endorsed Jesus. Through this analogy, Playboy's comparing himself to Jesus and Dwayne to John, adding a biblical twist to the apprentice killing the master. It's not accurate, but the train of thought fits his pattern, positioning himself as the good guy, Dwayne as the evil obstacle, all while beating around the bush until Nico suggests killing Dwayne.
No, I tried giving him half of the business. I tried everything a man could reasonably try and still call himself a man.
So what you gonna do? Kill him?
Hey, I didn't say that. Man, you cold.
I was joking.
But what else is there? I mean, Cash been talking. Now I hear things. Said you and me was too tight now. Said you disrespected. Called him mad. He's going crazy. I mean, he's gone. Prison does that.
The way he positions it, it looks like Nico suggested killing Dwayne, not him, after Playboy cleverly paints himself as a victim, which he then follows up with what I believe is straight projection. Cat's been talking, said me and you was too tight now, said you disrespected him, called him mad. Prison does that. With no other close former associates of Dwayne in the picture except for his ex-girlfriend who Nico can kill based on player choice, it's hard to say if the too tight now line is pointing to someone else or just a flat out lie. The rest of it though, disrespecting him, calling him mad because of his prison time, feels straight up like Playboy's projecting. Either he's heard rumors like that floating around or he assumes that's what Dwayne thinks of him simply because of the things that either Playboy's saying or how he acts and treats Dwayne now. Whatever the case is, he tries his best to paint Dwayne as their problem, no matter how hard Nico rejects the idea of it being true or of Nico having to be the one to take care of Dwayne. And in one of the few times, if not the only time, we actually see the real Playboy, he fearfully says that Dwayne is a killer. Well, I get that his fear of Dwayne feels genuine, whether Dwayne's actually coming after him is harder to pin down. Dwayne sounds like he's lost all hope in life, more eager to off himself than hunt down the people who left him behind. If Dwayne really wanted payback on Playboy, he could have made it happen any time. Fresh out of prison, he waltzed right into Playboy's penthouse with zero warning. He probably still knew all of Playboy's hangouts and muscle. Hell, he even gets Nico to shoot up a strip club and take it back for him. If he was on a warpath, it would have gone down way sooner and far more brutal, had Dwayne still had that fire in him. With anyone else, he might have done it. But I think Playboy moving on without him was one of those final straws that broke Dwayne for good. Meeting this kid when he was already isolated, then teaching him everything you knew, watching over him like a son, only to then watch that son abandon you and do his best to rewrite history, painting you as the tainted one. What good is fighting? Money already proved to him that it makes you empty and paranoid. And when you thought you finally found some good in somebody, they use you, leave you behind, and eventually hire someone to kill you. It's tough to talk about Playboy without bringing up Dwayne, or vice versa. It feels like this whole request to kill Dwayne reveals the real Trey Stewart underneath. Someone way over his head, without the heart or stomach for the dirty work. But when push came to shove, he had the money, the power, the connections, and just enough belief that this life was meant for him to pull the trigger through someone else. In the end, I think his final words before Nico takes him out shows where his priorities really lay, all about appearing to do good, to make a change. Ironic, since it mirrors Officer McReary's own twisted beliefs.
I was someone, you know? I made it. I changed the game.
You didn't change the game. The game changed you.